All right. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, everybody. What's up, Phil?
What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? I know they coming on now, huh?
Yeah, they're coming on, coming on. How was your day today?
Oh, it was beautiful. It was great. We didn't buy a house today, so yeah, that's a ongoing joke there. But we working on it. Don't worry, we working on a couple of them. So we're gonna see what we.
That's good. I love it. So what would you say on average right now? You guys are probably buying, your company's probably buying how many per, I mean, are you buying one pretty much every week?
More than that. It's probably like one every 2 or 3 days.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Was that the goal at the beginning of the year or?
Not necessarily. It was more so. Well, this year we're supposed to be. One of my mentors just talk about. He said you scale up. Oh no, was this might be dude? Did you tell me you scale up and ratchet? Like you scale up and then you ratchet, you lock it in. Was that you that told me that?
Mm-mm.
Sometimes I get my mentor start up. It might have been. I won't say his name, but I think I know who it was. But point is, he says like you scale up and people think like when you scale up, you just scale and you just go and go and go and go and go. And you just keep going on. And then he said, no, actually, what it looks like, it's like a stair step. He said, you scale up, you lock it in because you got to fix a lot of different things, right? And then you scale up again. And
Mm.
point is that was today. This year was supposed to be one of our ratchet years or ratchet up years or like lock in years where we're figuring some stuff out. But we just keep buying them. So but no, so to answer your question, that wasn't specifically the goal, but we'll definitely hit it. It looks like.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to have those conversations because I think sometimes, I don't know what people think scaling up looks like, but I think there is an art to it. There's a formula to it. And that's one of the things that we want to do here at Tavaverse. Excited to have you guys on here tonight. Thanks for jumping on here. Definitely go ahead and, hit the share button and share this feed with someone. Text them, call them, hey girl, hey bro, jump on here because we're about to get into some really good conversation that I think is most needed right now. And so, one of the things that we're going to be talking about, something that I decided to partner with a good friend of mine a couple of months ago. He had called me, Phil, and was just like, hey, what are you doing in the world of investing? And I was like, I'm about to go really hard into hard assets. I did in 2016, 17, bought a lot of doors, but it was mainly single families. And I knew that it was time for me to go back hard into hard assets, but I wanted to go into multifamilies. And so I just started to kind of tell him that, Susan. And he said, well, why don't we do that for like the community? And I was like, let's.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm going to pull together some of the best people that are in this field of real estate and mainly making sure that people get the education in real estate and get the education in credit and how to use credit as an investor, and then make sure that they had the banks to get the funding, because I think probably one of the number one things that stops people from really scaling their investment portfolio is that they don't have the funding. And so we basically pulled together some of the best people that study this every day, that live it privately, eat it, sleep it, not just for the gram, not just for Facebook, but this is really what they do, and pull together this team that's helping the average everyday person to come in and really put themselves in a really amazing space. I just met with a couple and it was so interesting, the conversation. She is a realtor and has owned several properties, sold several properties, and she said, "But we just really need help. We need help with scaling. We've sold some of those properties that I think we probably should not have sold, and we just need like community." And so they're going to be joining the platform. And so, hey, Mike, how you guys doing? Hey, Robin. So, Phil, let me ask you really quickly because I want people to know. I think that sometimes when people think about investing, I don't know if most people count themselves in. I think they think that that's for those people, but
Mhm.
everybody has a start, right? So I
100%.
guess what we kind of talk about, because obviously there are a lot of people on here that are already in the Tavaverse community, but there are a lot of people that are guests on here, maybe because you were invited by somebody. And I think first, what I want to do tonight is kind of paint the picture that this is for anybody that makes a decision that they want to become an investor so that they can, live the life that they always dreamed about. So I guess talk a little bit about that. Do you think that most people count themselves out
Oh,
where investors?
definitely. If you talking about the common person, and they just like when you hear I'm a real estate investor or something like that, people eyes light up. They're like, oh wow, that's great. It'd be awesome to be a real estate investor. Or I've had people, I want to be a real estate investor for the past 10 years, 15 years, and I don't. There's always an obstacle there, and it's partially a mental, right? Where it's just like I can't do that because I got these other things. And really, ultimately, what it comes down to is a self-image. They don't think that they can do it. But there's so many ways to invest in real estate, whether depending on your lifestyle. Really, it's like you choose your path, right? It could be an active investor where you want to go out and flip homes and wholesale and do things like that. But it also could be you kind of sit back and you're the passive investor and you make returns on your money, or you go out and buy these properties and people, it's a lot of misconnotation, right? Where people think, oh, if I buy a property, I don't know how to be a landlord, and it's a lot of obstacles, and people hear a lot of obstacles or what could go wrong, but they don't hear a lot of solutions to those obstacles. So what ends up happening is they're like, well, they create excuses, right? Where it's like, I can't do that because, and now they never get in. And that's, again, this leading to, you talked about community, right? Just not being around people where it's like, oh yeah, that is an obstacle, but here's how to get around it. Here's how I got around it.
Yeah.
Here's what my goals are. And now it starts to become, so the community is definitely a big part of it. But yes, to answer your question, a lot of people kind of say, that's for someone else.
Kind of count themselves out. Or like you said, they hear obstacles or they hear issues that came up with being a landlord. Or maybe they even, bought a property and had issues, themselves
Yeah.
and realize there's a better way to do it. I was just on the phone with Nicole, one of our Topiverse members, and she's already an investor on a couple, businesses, daycares, hair salons, and some other properties. And she's like, but I realized I got stuck with where I was, and I was ready to scale and I was ready to grow. And she knew she couldn't take herself to the next level. And then, of course, you talked about wholesaling. Sometimes people just learn about wholesaling, which is buying and flipping. And that's a great way to hit a lick. And we teach that on the Towerverse community, but we also are definitely about helping people to develop legacy properties. Those are long-term properties that you don't want to sell because you do want to create cash flow. And one of the things that I want to help people realize is that whatever you're doing right now, even if you have a retirement plan, unless you become an investor, the likelihood of you becoming wealthy, I think the possibility, the probability really diminishes. If you don't create cash, if all your money is coming from your business or coming from your job, even if your business is doing well, even if your job is doing well, if you don't create cash flow, that means that money is coming in automatically without you showing up. The likelihood of you becoming wealthy is smaller. And I also think that I want people to think about 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, because when you get ready to retire, I think the reason most people end up downgrading is not because they want to really get rid of that nice home or condo or a penthouse or mansion. It's just that they can't afford it because they didn't think enough about the long-term income. So talk about that a little bit.
I mean, really, it's a mindset. So in Topiverse, we teach, or I talk about the different types of income, and a lot of people don't even know there's different types of income, right? And there's three categories that I primarily go over. But when you're stuck in the I have to go to work, right, the W-2 mindset or the active income, and you're always working for money. I literally just had this conversation with someone. She's still in college. And what it is it's like she literally could not think outside of working for money. It was like, okay, yeah, I know, I know, Phil, you do this, that, and the other. So I want to, whatever, I want to do this business. I want to create these jackets. I want to do this. And it was always, I have to do this, right? And sometimes, now she's like 7 or 18, 17 maybe. So she has a long way to grow. But that being said, a lot of people are in their 30s and 40s thinking the same thing. If I want to make more money, I got to go do more. So by nature, they think more money equals more work. And I'm tired. I don't feel like doing more work. So they never get to a point where you know what, that's for somebody else. But they don't actually understand that no, actually making the big money, getting the cash flow is actually less. You have to do less. You have to. It's a book just came out. It says 10x better than 2x. I must remember the author's name, but I can't remember. But it just released, and that's literally what he's talking about. It's easier to 10x than it is to 2x because of the level of thinking. So for everyone that's on this call right now, if you're thinking, I made 60,000 last year, I made 100,000, I made 200, whatever, and I want to increase incrementally. I want to increase. I made 60,000. I want to make 70. I want to make 80. Your solution is going to put you in a fixed state of mindset. You have to just go out and do more. I'm going to do more to make that extra 10,000, extra 15,000. But if you're making 60,000 right now, and I say, hey, figure out a way to make 600,000, that level of thinking is gone. You cannot think the same way and actually have a real chance of achieving that goal. So a lot of people get stuck in that, and they don't look at real estate from a cash flow perspective, where you can actually just, hey, where you can go and make significantly amount, not only make a lot of money, but create a lot of cash flow where it is residual. Maybe you do work one time and the money keeps coming, or not. Maybe you just put money into something and the money keeps flowing. Right? It's different levels to the types of energy or cash flow that you can produce.
Now that's great. That's great, Phil. So this is my beautiful daughter, Cyrene. She's my twin, right?
Hey.
Howard grad. And so one of the things that, I've always really stressed, and we literally had really great conversation today about some of her friends who have just kind of obsessed with making a lot of money and then being professional spenders versus making a lot of money and investing. And understanding why it's so important to invest and being and understanding what season you're in, because you might be in a season where you're like making a lot of money and might feel like, oh, I can go da 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 da, but everything needs to be thought about cash flow. How much cash flow do I have coming in if I don't go to work, right? And so hard assets becomes a thing. And what I love, Phil, is whatever we do as parents, that thing ends up, your children end up catching that. And she's blessed because she has a fiance who was raised by parents who also we have similar mindsets, the same core value where investing is concerned. So I guess I would add, my question would be to you is, because we have these conversations often just about money and about our relationship with money and how we should be thinking about money. So I guess in kind of what we talked about earlier, thinking about the long-term gain versus I want this now, or is it better to turn around and say, okay, well, let me invest? Like we're in her condo right now. It's so cute in here. They've done an amazing job at it. But we made a decision to make an investment in a good area in DC that a lot of transformation is happening. So now they have an asset, right? And now we're going to be picking up other assets in DC as well. But I guess just in your own words, kind of, the community that we've created here, why do you think this community is important? Because if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to just be around other people with like minds and, interests. And also a lot of times those same people that you're around with those interests have resources, information, knowledge, education. So just being able to like go back and share, there's a lot of value in that. And, just a lot of value in community, just in opportunity. You might get an opportunity to invest in something that's a little more private. So just having those relationships, period, are really important just to be able to have the plug in on what's really going on as well.
And I think even like the strategy, because like, I won't say your friend's name, but you had a friend who's making a lot of money, but they weren't investment minded.
Well, they are, but
they were more focused on spending, and their risk management was off.
The risk management was definitely off. Risk management is major, but that's why you need to have those people around you to say, hey, I don't know if that's the sharpest move right now. You got to have other sharp minds around so that you could kind of bounce those ideas and things off of, but also you have to be teachable. Even if you feel like, hey, this is the right move, well, you're in this group because you want to buffer and have conversations about what your next move might be. So you can't want to be a part of the community and then not listen whenever.
Do you feel like, and Phil, I'm gonna come back to you in a minute. Do you feel like most millennials are more concerned with what things look like versus what the net worth really is?
Yes, 100%.
So they're more concerned because one of her friends, both of their cars are paid off. Your Range Rover is paid off. His Porsche truck is paid off.
Mm-hmm.
But they were trying to put pressure and say, "Oh, y'all should upgrade." But now they're in trouble, and you guys are not because you have no car note.
Yeah, like I mean, that just doesn't. It's just less. I'm not the type, and don't get me wrong, I am the type. Like if I just had this insane access to billions of dollars, I'm sure we would all be moving differently. But let's be real, for me, especially as I'm getting older, I really value security, and I really value just having my stuff together. So if my mortgage isn't paid up, if my other bills are not handled, I'm not thinking about even getting anything for me, shopping wise. If it's not a necessity, I'm not doing it, So it's like having that discipline and also being able to sacrifice and realize, like she said, some seasons will be spending seasons, but some seasons, you're going to have to be building the reserve.
Yeah. Building reserve, building assets. And what I love about the community is we're going to help you with every single aspect of your financial journey. We're going to help you with the credit. We're going to help you with the funding. We're going to help you with the marketing of whatever you get. We're going to help you with, the systems so that things can actually be in place so that you don't have another headache on your hand, right? Mm-hmm. So that it's actually seamlessly working. And then Phil, I think you're like considered millennial, right? Or where you at?
I think I am a millennial. Actually, I was thinking after you said that, I was trying to think, am I a millennial or not? What is that? Yeah. Where's the application? I forget what year is that? Because what generation? What is like? People.
You might be Gen X. You might be Gen X. I don't know. You're in your 30s. You might be Gen X. But I guess the point is that we're making is that this conversation is critical because you can't move into something that you have not been exposed to. You probably won't move into anything that you haven't been exposed to.
Yeah.
Right. So you've been exposed to people that own thousands of doors. So now that's a new goal for you. But if you've never been exposed to people that have had thousands of doors, then your goal is to maybe just make more money. So I guess talk about from your standpoint, like even where you are now, you're in a position where you're buying property every single week. Would that have happened without mentorship, you think?
Oh, 100% no. So, I mean, anybody that ever heard me speak on a stage or whatnot, it's like it always comes off as mentorship. And I always tell people, you got to get around the right people, right? You got to get around, again, whether it's a community, you got somebody, that's the biggest cheat code to success. If someone has traveled the path that you want to take, they've been there, they traveled it, they got all the bumps and bruises, and they came out successful, 10x successful in what you want to achieve. Like it makes a lot of sense to go and, do what you can to be around them and say, hey, Jewel, how did you do this? Hey, Phil, how did you do this? Hey, Marquita, how did you, et cetera, in marketing? It's like that's the cheat code. The exact opposite of what you learn in school when they say don't copy off someone that's cheating, et cetera. Well, in real life, it works out really well when you start talking about like progression and getting to where you want to be. And actually, one thing I want to point out to what your daughter was saying is she was talking about specifically about spending. Well, one thing to point out, for everyone else on this call, it's different types of spending. She's obviously talking about buying like liabilities, but the same people who got access to billions of dollars, you'll watch and notice that they spend, like they'll be cheap, quote unquote, right? Like, oh man, you're a billionaire, but they cheap when it comes to, this ticky-tack thing, that's not going to serve me. That's a time waster. You're like, man, this person don't want to spend any money. But then that same person will go out and spend hundreds of millions of dollars in a day or a week on an investment here and there because that's the way their minds is wired, right? And that's the just starting of that process of what we all want each member of Topiverse and each of you all to, come in and learn about. So that way it just becomes a part of who you are instinctually. And you become the person that's just naturally successful as a result of that.
Yeah, that's really, really good. We were actually talking earlier, Dorian and Cyrene and my husband and I, and we were just having a conversation about like women and money and expectations. And they're, even it's crazy because they were just talking about how a lot of people they know, women in particularly, are just not confident financially. If they didn't have their husbands to bounce ideas off of or thoughts, and there's nothing wrong with that, that they would be very much incapable. Like if you had to pull their husbands out of the equation, they couldn't make the financial decision to purchase a property. They wouldn't have the confidence to move. And he was just saying how dangerous he felt like that was. He's like, because if anything was to happen, they're like screwed. And he was like, I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts? They were just picking our brains, like, what are your thoughts on that? And I was like, no, that's a real conversation that has to happen, because your quality of life. And my whole thing is, I want everybody to think, Phil, about your quality of life. Mm. Can I independently live the way I live right now? Independently? Can I be the bank? Mm. Can I maintain whatever that lifestyle is independent of my spouse? And I mean, this is a good question for men too, because there's some men who, are, their wives make more money. But I think those are questions you have to ask. And if you're not in that position, then what do I need to do to get into that position? And this is where Tabaverse is going to come in at and make sure that each person needs to be their own bank. I need to be my own bank. Ben needs to be his own bank. Phil needs to be his own bank. Alicia, everybody needs to be their own bank and say, if something was to happen, could I independently still live the lifestyle that I have become accustomed to living? And so Dorian is joining us now. Yes. Real quick, another Howard grad, my daughter's fiance.
What's up, everybody? What's good?
This is Phil, Dorian.
What's up, Phil? How you doing?
So he's brilliant. We got into some real heavy conversation earlier.
Yeah, we did. We did.
About money.
Yeah.
And as soon as we walked in the door, you're like, okay, let's talk. Let's get into it. No, but you know what? It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was good.
So talk about kind of what you're seeing. And I hope that people on here understand the value of what we offer here at Tabaverse, because this is a very real conversation that I think that everybody needs to be thinking about, and then moving towards advancement to put themselves in a better position. You and Cy live a very good life. Mm-hmm. You guys both work really hard, but you were just talking about some things that you saw where women were concerned that you're like, I'm kind of concerned.
Yeah, we just were talking about it. I was just saying, the importance of women to have financial independence from their guys. Not to say like, we don't want to take care of them. We definitely want to take care of them, champion our women. But we definitely want the women to be in position, or everybody to be in position to win, and being around people that kind of give us the game, give us the strategy to win is kind of like, I think, the best step. I think what the conversation we were having earlier was some of the women that don't, have their own, independence, don't get the chance to make their own decisions on the things that they want to invest in, the things that they might want to do. And this is a great opportunity for everybody to kind of, get.
It's crazy because even at your age group, you're like, y'all had a friend who they went out and she spent, I think, just
$100. Yeah, and she had to report it. Like, I had to explain this to my guy, and it was like we were both confused. But everybody has their own situation. So, but I just think it's important for everybody, young, old, and whatever phase you're in, to kind of like try to seek some financial independence. And it might not just happen at your 9 to 5 or at work. So I'm appreciative to be in this network, to, have games showered on me and have people covering me that want to see me win. So,
yeah. So you can't go yet.
Okay. I was reading some of the comments.
Oh, yeah.
Carolyn Hayes said, she said, I have to be my own bank.
You have to be your own bank.
I feel it.
Phil, where women are concerned in investing, I mean, what's the landscape, bro?
It's definitely scarce when it comes to hard assets, at least in my line. But the ones that are there, they seem to do very well. Actually, I think it's a multitude of advantages. I won't go into all the details now, but for sure, it's definitely scarce when, like, it's like a male-dominated industry, right? You go to an event, I go speak somewhere, etc., and I guess a bunch of guys coming up to me, XYZ, and then you get the one lady, she's in the back and she's shy, or maybe she's not even shy, but she gotta make room, you know what I mean? And but it seems to be very few, but at least the ones that I've met, they've always been like very high level. Like the ones that get into it are really like man, you really know your stuff, or you're really doing your thing, and that's just how it is. And I think it should definitely be more women that come into real estate or just investing in general, because it's not even about like what male, female, etc. It's more so about just like you talked about, no matter what your sex is, you want to be able to sustain yourself. And really the key, I guess I'll give everybody here a quick nugget. Really the key is like, how is your lifestyle set up? Because you can very easily set your lifestyle up to the point where all your cash flow pays for everything. So it doesn't matter if that person's there, this person's here. I mean, obviously you have to understand it. You don't want to become a Vanderbilt where, and well, I think like the late 1800s, he died. Their net worth was 200 million in the 1800s. His son, who he taught, he grew it to 400 million, and that was it. And by the time, I think like 2 generations later, they were flat broke, right? And people know the name Vanderbilt. So that becomes because the energy or the knowledge transfer is not there, right? So even people that are given things like, here's the system, just don't break it. Well, I broke it because I don't know how to do it, right? Or you get destroyed because of taxes. So definitely the knowledge, like the knowledge transfer is a thing, and that's just regardless. But I have seen that where men are doing things like the wife or the woman kind of just stand back and just kind of let things be like, no, you empower, go ahead and do whatever it is you want to be able to generate, not only for yourself, but also understand the way the system works, understand the way the machine works. So as someone said in the comments, you can like be your own bank,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
So you were saying earlier, like you feel like it's somewhat alarming to you, and I'm glad it is, because I think it is alarming that when you see, we're just talking to women for a minute, across the board, not really take an aggression towards developing wealth, thinking about their quality of life. In other words, you don't want women to automatically think, if I want a good quality of life, a man has to be attached.
Do it. Yeah, that's true. I was just telling her we don't have any kids, but when we do have kids, I was saying I want my daughter to basically not look for money from men. Not to say that you don't want a guy to take care of you, but if she wants something, I want her to think of like, what do I need to go do to get it, or what do I need to get into to create the lifestyle I want, so that when she meets a nice young man, all she needs from him is love and support, and it's not so much a financial thing, because then comes control and a lot of other things. And I think right now, my generation specifically, a lot of the music, which I love, which I listen to all the time, to be quite frank, a lot of the music just preaches something different. And some people don't know how to differentiate like music and lifestyle or Instagram in real life. So I think it's really important for people to have mentorship and guidance. And real estate is kind of like that thing that's never going away, right? So everybody that's super up and super wealthy, they have their hands in some type of real estate, whether it be commercial or residential. So I would say, based on our conversation earlier, it was just wanting to see the narrative change a little bit in regards to just dating and money and things of that sort.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what we were talking about.
So I'm gonna let you speak to something, and then Phil, I'm gonna pass this to you because I want to know your thought. We were talking about Dave Ramsey, who teaches get out of debt, get out of debt, get out of debt. He's more for lower middle America. But then you listen to Robert Kiyosaki, who's like, get in debt to build asset, build asset, build asset. Mm-hmm. And you were just saying, you listen to both, but you're like, I get it. For the person who wants to be wealthy, they got to learn how to use debt, because we've had that drilled in us, get out of debt. Well, there's a bad consumer debt, but there's also a very good investor debt. Mm-hmm. And even with you looking now at investment properties, and you all get ready to make your next moves in real estate, I guess who people listen to becomes really important depending on what is your end goal.
Yeah.
And those are the things we got to think about. Like, don't just listen to somebody and be like, oh, they said.
Yeah.
Who are they for? What do you want? Is your vision in alignment with that?
Yeah, and I don't want to say no name because I don't know who's involved with who, but right now in the media, there are some real estate guys that are not doing the right thing, and people are just trying to learn, and people are just trying to, get information. And I think that a lot of people, in my community, Black people, people of color, we're not getting the information all of the time. And if we do get the information, it might be second or third hand. It might be, a little bit skewed. And I think uh, getting good leadership and good things to listen to definitely opened my mind. Like I hit her, like, what was that, 2 weeks ago? I was listening to Robert Kiyosaki by accident. Usually I listen to like hip hop podcasts and stuff like that, but he was actually on one of my podcasts just talking about wealth management and just like the power of investing in the right things, the power of understanding money and understanding debt. He was just basically saying, and I'll just give this game. He's basically saying anything dumb or anything that's a waste, I buy it cash. Anything that can, make me money or help me build and grow, I take out debt because I know I'll be able to pay it and use the ROI to not only pay the debt off, but to also feed my needs or lifestyle or whatever he's using that funds for. So he said, I drive a Ferrari, it's fully paid off because I'm not going to make any money on it. But I want to buy a 30-unit condo building. I'm going to take out debt, use the debt to buy the building, even use the debt to make the building nicer. And then whether I want to sell it or rent it out, I'm then having generational income and things that I can pass on, and I still have the Ferrari, So just listening to stuff like that, I think it just opens my mind. And this Tylerverse is just another example of that, of being in a place where, you could catch some game that could really change everything for you. It could just be like one nugget that just unlocks everything for your brain, So I think it's really important.
No, that's good. So talk about that, Phil, because you definitely are one that's using debt to build assets. You're doing it every week versus the Dave Ramsey route. I love Dave, by the way, respect him, but I don't follow his philosophy because I'm not interested in being middle America. I'm very interested in building wealth. So I guess talk about that, because these are some of the things that they're going to learn in Tylerverse.
Oh no, so you hit on a very important point. So one of my mentors taught me that when someone says something that you don't necessarily agree with, try like seek more information, right? Try to understand. And I remember years ago when I first had because people started coming, Dave Ramsey says, Dave Ramsey. I'm like, man, who is Dave Ramsey? So I look him up, and he got like 60 million followers and all. I'm like, okay, he probably knows something. And they're telling me what he's saying. And I'm like, you must have misunderstood somehow. This is my honest take on it. I was like, you must have misunderstood, because if he's as successful as he looks to be, I doubt he said that. So again, for those of people on the call that don't know, Dave Ramsey tell you, get out of debt, pay for everything cash, work super hard. And that does work well for, unfortunately, probably 75 to 80% of America, because that's where people are, you say, a lower middle class, where you have really, really poor financial habits. So now you got to look at who you're listening to. You got to think about who they're talking to. That's why I talk about the importance of mentorship, because what was the first thing I said? When we talk about mentorship, find somebody that has achieved what you want and who's traveled that path, and ask them how they got there. Well, he's taking you to a path of, okay, I don't have any debt, and I'm, out of, credit cards and all this other stuff that's going on, where people have poor habits. They got the consumer mindset. And I think he does a good service as far as that. He is not teaching people how to be wealthy, at least the content I've seen. He's not teaching you how to become wealthy. You're not going to save your way rich and wealthy. You're going to have a really good debt-free lifestyle, but you're missing a very strong lever, and that's the power of leverage, right? It's a lot of analogies about leverage, but you're missing out on, it's a mindset shift. Yes, if you're going to go out and buy a Birkin bag or a Ferrari or something like that, actually, my take on stuff like that is you use the cash flow to buy all your BS, right? So you generate cash and you buy cash flow, right? And then you use that cash flow to buy more cash flow. And you just keep doing that over and over and over again until ultimately you got so much cash flow, like, okay, I guess I'll buy this. Okay, I guess I'll buy that. And it's not really a big thing. I'm not saying whether you buy cash or not. Debt can be awesome, but it's definitely a lever that a lot of us can have access to be able to grow financially, right? Because I mean, it just made kind of sense to me. If a bank says they're gonna give me $1 million and I can go buy an asset that's gonna make, I don't know, let's say 200K a year or something, just to put numbers in perspective, and I don't have to use any of my own money. I'm like, well, okay, so they'll be paid back, and I'll be fine, and I'll, you know, like, why not? Why not? So I don't necessarily agree with what he teaches if you're trying to be wealthy, but make sure you're listening to people that who are teaching you how to get to where you want to go, right?
Yeah. You've built a multiple $1 million portfolio. Phil is so modest, so I have to put that in there, and I really appreciate your humility. But you've also invested in mentorship, probably heavier than the average person is to get you to where you are. Tavaverse, you're only paying $150 a month. I mean, that's really kind of unheard of because we're not teaching you just how to get 1 door, 5 doors, 10 doors. Yeah, we want to start you there, but we want to move you to 20 and 40 and so on and so forth. How much money have you spent on average? And you're still spending money because I know you just left a conference, so you told me you had to spend thousands of dollars to be a part of this. Talk about some of those numbers, because I want people to understand when people glow up, they didn't just glow up because they were so smart. They stay consistently teachable and consistently being mentored. It's like the minute you stop being mentored, it's probably going to be the minute you stop growing.
Yep.
Will you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I practice what I preach. I don't just say, "Oh, get a mentor, get a mentor." Number one, having a mentor is what allowed me to like that exponential growth, right? People like, how did you do this? I literally do. I'm literally giving you guys a cheat code. It's nothing more than that. And that's like, that would be general advice that I could give to anybody, that, hey, find somebody doing what you want to do and go out and do that. So over the past 5 years, it's close to $500,000 I've spent on different like mentorships, masterminds, things about, I'm finding experts, people who are masterclass in what they do. Maybe it's closer to 6 years now, but point is, I've spent a lot, and I'm finding I'm doing exactly what I got this problem. Who's really good at solving these problems? Or who doesn't have this problem? Who is this problem a drop in the bucket for? Okay, and ultimately get to the point where, okay, I'm about to go. I got to spend time with them. I got to go pay them some money. I got to figure out what's what, right? And then you just get around these different people, and you keep playing that game. And for the people on the call, it didn't start there. I remember my first mentorship program was $67 a month, and I had the wrong mindset, and I was really thinking about it. And just to put this in perspective, so I'm not like better than anyone on here, I was making $100K a year. I was a person, I was living on my mom's base and everything else. And I had the money, but it was this program about $67 a month. And he was teaching different principles about what the rich and wealthy do. And I'm sitting there contemplating over it, like, man, $67 a month, that's a big deal. Should I do it? Should I not do it? And then and it's funny, in the course he actually teaches this, but you got, I had, penny thoughts where I would go out and, let's say that $67 is like 33 cents a day or something. And I'm like, man, I'm probably dropping out of my pocket every single day, right? I'm spending it on BS, but that's where my level of thinking was at. But ultimately, I don't know what it was, but I got over that hump because I guess you could say it was a good salesman. I learned a ton, went much deeper with him, got my first mentor, I spent $3K, and that was like a big deal for me. That was like another big jump where I'm like, man, am I getting scammed? I never spent this much money before. And then as I grew, I was like, oh, okay, now I started to I'm doing those iterations of, I'm getting the knowledge, taking action, reviewing the results, and I'm seeing the results. I'm like, okay, last time I had a big uptick, let me do it again. So now I go out and spend $25,000 for a mastermind or a couple mastermind groups and $25K each, right? And then you just keep spending. One of my mentors right now, he's spending $250,000 a year just for one of his masterminds. And like, you just get access to people and different things so this is literally the cheat code, right? So I'm giving you the cheat code, but to bring everything I'm saying back home here in Tavaverse, I mean, you guys are just all thank Jewel for pulling this together. She's bringing together a team of all-stars. I'm just speaking on myself, right? I don't want to put everybody else's business out there, but a lot of people in the group have invested very graciously into themselves. And Jewel has went out and pulled these individuals together. Andrew Carnegie talks about it's a superpower to get a group of people to work in harmony and all rowing in the same direction. So she's pulled that group of people together for your benefit, right? So you don't have to go out and spend $500,000, $250,000. You don't have to spend all this money like, you literally can say, okay, I'm in this community. Jewel just told you it's $150 a month. Where I'm like I like to give. I like impact and influence is a big driver of mine. So I don't try to hold anything back. It's hard for me not to just start teaching on this call, right? So, but the point
It's
is,
true. It's true. Everybody put in the chat right now the wealth cheat code. Just put the wealth cheat code, because that's really what it is. But go ahead, Phil.
No, that's exactly what it is. Because the big thing for me, because it's funny about the timing of it, because I talked about impact and influence. Well, for me, time is a very important thing. So I can't just work with everybody. Like, I'll just put it out there. Like, if you come up, Phil, people come to me all the time. Hey, Phil, let me take you to dinner. Let me take you to lunch. And I'm like, man, like, that's like, and I always tell them that's probably the only question you shouldn't ask me, because they will always be no. Because it's like, it's a big, it's not really a time, it's not really an equal value exchange. But even $150, $500, $1,000, it's like, I do this business. This is what I do. So it's tough for me to help a mass, like a group of people. But the way Topiverse has been put together, not only you get access to me, you get access. Again, we talked about Marquita with marketing, how to grow your company, right? You got Camille helping you with operations, right? To actually scale your company. Obviously, we talking about credit and leverage. And people that think they know credit, but don't have everything they pretty much want, you really don't know credit, because credit is very powerful, right? It's a lot of different ways where you can use it to grow your business, how to support your lifestyle, live off points, travel, a lot of different things that people just don't know. And all of this has been like, and plus more, right? We got obviously the mindset set. There's a lot of different things, but point is, you got all this stuff brought into one where it's like, it's holistic. Okay, where are you at? Where do you want to go? Okay, here are the steps. Boom, 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 boom. And there you go. That's the wealth cheat code at that point. So I can go long, so I digress.
No, that's good. That's good. Dorian, I'm gonna let you go, but
Okay.
before I do, obviously your mom owns several accounting firms. It was a blessing because you and I have a lot of the same core values, which makes it work.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have an investment mindset, you're not just, you like nice things, but you also understand, we're going to become wealthy. I need to be working. She needs to be working. We need to be asset minded. I guess, having access to the wealth cheat code.
Yeah, that was lit. Everybody doing it too.
Yeah. But put that in the comments if you don't put that in there, the wealth cheat code. Like, having access to that, how much would you say having access to, like, your mom, me, Ben, and the whole kind of community has kind of really helped you, put you above, if you, I don't want to say above, but maybe more advanced.
Push me further.
Yeah, because you have friends who would be like, spin, bruh, spin.
Yeah.
And now now they calling you like, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. I think I would say, again, a lot of people in my age bracket and generation is living off of and based on social media, which could be really toxic. I think when a lot of people my age get together, they usually say a lot of stupid things and a lot of stupid ideas. Every now and then, we have our moments, but I think, time and experience is the number one teacher to people. And then when you link with someone who has time and experience, it's the number one teacher to you. Because maybe you didn't go through that thing, or maybe you didn't buy that house, or maybe you didn't crash out on that deal, but they did it so that you can know the information and not have to kind of like take that L. So that's the biggest thing that I think has helped me, as well as just new strategies like, hey, we doing this investment. Let's put the money here. If you could buy Balenciaga, or if you could go to the club, or if you could go on this trip, then you can invest some money here. And, doing that a few times, I had a return. I had more money stashed and saved than I ever had. I had, my money working for me, even though I'm working hard. If I really want to be wealthy, my money has to work for me. I can't, it's not enough hours in a day. So just kind of like getting those mindsets of like what money could do for you, what credit, what everything can do for you, and what's important. I think important. A lot of people get caught up on things that really don't matter. And I think that even though I like some of them things, I have come to realize they don't matter. And I think the faster you get to that point, the quicker like you can like set your mind up to win, because it won't be about that bag. It won't be about those shoes. It won't be about this house. won't be about anything but
Mhm.
like doing things to try to like push yourself forward. And then
Yeah.
once you win at that, then you could go back and get everything you missed or you wanted. So that's kind of like my number one
Yeah.
thing that I've gotten.
And we've been on both sides.
Yeah.
We've invested digitally.
Yeah.
We made money digitally.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of volatility.
Yeah, we've won, we've lost.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where with hard assets, we don't have to worry about, you know, and you guys all know I'm a big time Bitcoin fan and a holder of Bitcoin. But a lot of those digital assets that people are investing in, I'm not saying don't invest in it. I'm saying you better add hard assets.
Diversify.
Mhm.
Diversify. I think that's important. I think it's important to have different streams come in different ways. I don't think you could be like a one-trick pony investor. And well, I think you can, but I think it would be more wise to not be a one-trick pony
Yeah.
investor,
Yeah.
so that you can have, you know, if it's raining over here, it might be sunny over here.
Yeah.
You know, it's sunny over here, it might be, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
super sun over here. So I think
Right.
like you have to just
Yeah.
kind of diversify. And I think one thing is real estate's not going anywhere. The land is not going anywhere. We have to live off the land. Everybody has to live, just like
Mhm.
everybody has to eat, and they have to have
Mhm.
somewhere to live. So
Mhm.
let's give it to them.
That's good. Thanks. I
All right.
appreciate it.
It's nice talking to y'all. Nice to meet y'all. Wealth cheat code.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Put that in
Nice,
the comments.
nice to meet you, boss.
All right. So,
So yeah, so you know, basically get back with the person that invited you on this live. I think that you kind of understand, and I don't care where you are, whether you're already an investor of real estate or investor in business, or maybe you own several businesses. We have people who own no real estate. We have people that own a lot of real estate. We have people that own no businesses. We have people that own several businesses. But I think everybody can agree, and even Phil's gained from the community. He's big in real estate, but he's needed some help in systems. So that's where Camille comes in, where he's big in real estate, but hey, I need some help on social media with marketing. So again, if I can't, you know, if no matter where I'm at, we all know we need help. I just met with this great couple here. She was strong in real estate, but she's like, I need scaling. I need help with taxes. I'm like, we got a tax strategist. We got a tax accountant. I called them up. I need help with credit. I got, you know, they had a ding 3 months late on their mortgage. And we're like, okay, let me call Brianna and see how we can help with that. And she gave the play there. So it doesn't really matter where you are, whether or not you feel like you're really postured well already, or maybe you're not postured so well, or maybe you're postured well in one area, but you're not postured well in another. I was postured well digitally, but I also realized with the volatility, a lot of digital assets that I needed to reposture myself up really strong and hard assets. So I've been able to gain a lot from Phil, gain a lot from, you know, Candace, who is strong in mortgages, gain a lot from Benicia, who owns our own bank. So it really doesn't matter where you are in your, you know, financial walk. This is a very strong community. Everybody is like, this is what they do privately for real, for real. It's not for the gram. It's not for Facebook. It's not for anybody. Like, this is who they really are. So you're going to always get kind of hot off the press, if you will, what's happening and where the trend not has already left, but where it's going, and find yourself at, you know, the best of the best. We were able to find this amazing property right by the Capitol in DC because of the community. You know what I mean? We're going to help you find, whether you're in LA or New York or, you know, South Carolina, North Carolina, Dallas, Houston, Miami. It doesn't matter where you are. They're good deals. And so there's an art to finding those great properties. So before we get ready to wrap tonight, this is so good. I love this stuff. What would be some of your main takeaways that you would share with everyone?
You know what? I'll just go one. And actually, what Dorian said actually kind of sparked the thought. So we talk about community. I want you to, when you hear community, I want you to think family, right? Because so Dorian said something like, no, you asked the question. You said, hey, what have you learned? Like, you know, being around me, your dad, you know, people who are successful. And here's the thing, right? We can't control the family that we're born into and what they have done. The biggest the common thing that you see amongst wealthy families, they pass down assets, right? But they also pass down the knowledge. They pass down instinctually. This is how you think. So what you don't see is like, oh yeah, what I say is Trump or whoever it is, they got money and they pass something down. Like it's just the way things are. It's almost like a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle. It's almost like a diet, or you call it a live it. But point is, it's just how we eat. Like, so for example, if your parents didn't eat meat and all these different things, and that's all you know, that's just what it is. Well, you pick up the same financial thoughts as well when you around your family. But we all are unable to pick the family. We didn't happen to, I wasn't, sucks for me, I wasn't Donald Trump's kid, right? Or I wasn't, whoever, I wasn't Jeff Bezos' kid. They're going to teach me all of these principles just by being around them. I'm around these powerful people. No, here's your opportunity to actually choose your family, choose the community, the people that you surround yourself with. Now you can be intentional about the things that you're allowing to program you, right? It's not the music that's programming you. It's not the TV program that's programming you, right? You're being you're being intentional about what you allow in. So it starts to work and rework your subconscious. You start to question some of those things that you just always did because that's the way you always did it, because that's how my family does, right? And now you as an adult, you can make decisions for yourself. I would say that's the biggest takeaway, is the fact that you have an opportunity to select those who you want to be surrounded with and do it for your own benefit.
That's good. That is good. That's good. That's good. So listen, everyone, I'm excited you guys got on here tonight. We're going to be on here again every night this week, same time. Want to encourage you, invite other people to the conversation. We're already in the middle of a recession. So I think that this conversation and this connection, and I'm not just saying this to be saying it, but I really think it's very important. Because what's going to happen, I think, in this country in the next 6 months to a year, if you are prepared, it will be the best of times. If you are not prepared, then it can be the opposite of that. And so I just want to make sure that everybody that has ears to hear says, hey, let me get ready to move swiftly into this situation so that I can make sure that I set myself up to guaranteed be the best of times. I'm not interested in the opposite of the best of times. So Phil, thanks again. You always add so much value, brother. I mean, every time I listen to I had them listening earlier. I put it on the screen and they were like, oh yeah. I said, oh no, all the educators are like premium. You get ready to walk away with some real strategy, applicable strategy. And then you're going to have an opportunity to ask questions, which I think is huge. So again, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We'll be back on here same time tomorrow night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night. Invite other people to the community. Phil, again, thanks so much for jumping on tonight. And we look forward to connecting with you guys. Welcome to Tabaverse in advance. Bye-bye.